Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of small business management. Can you believe it? We're like almost halfway there. How awesome. You guys are doing great. So let's jump right into this short video to find out what we've been doing and where we're going. Okay? So far, you have been working on your business plan bit by bit, and you've provided basic information on your small business from week 1. And then week 2, we looked at ethical issues facing businesses in today's competitive world, and you completed a SWOT and industry analysis. And then last week, we reviewed and decided on the best choice of your business type. If you're going to do a franchise, you're going to purchase an existing business, take over a family business, or start a new business from scratch. This week, we're going to start looking at some financial record keeping and legal issues facing your company in more depth and detail. So our learning objectives for this week include you'll be able to discuss the importance and uses of financial records in small business, as well as how to analyze them. You'll be able to explain how to determine the financial needs of your business and where to look for sources of financing. You will be able to identify laws and regulations that affect small business, and you might have to do some digging on that. Remember to think federal laws as well as local laws, okay? And then explain the types of bankruptcy, which we don't want to ever have to look into that, but, it's good to know what's involved with that just in case. And then finally, you'll describe the elements of a contract, okay? For your reading resources, please be sure to read chapters 6 and 7 of the Harvard Business Review Entrepreneur's Handbook, everything you need to launch and grow a new business, okay? And then there's a great case study from Sage in Standard Chartered Banking Sanctions for Profit, okay? Please be sure to read those, and so you get a better understanding of what we're working on this week. In Module 4, you'll be introduced to the importance of understanding your business's financial statements, okay? This is really, really important for you to keep a handle on because, as you know, you're wanting to develop a profit, right? That's how you succeed. So you've got to know where your bottom line is. You'll see how an analysis of a few basic statements can provide you with this snapshot of your business's financial health, and which can steer you in the direction of making better decisions for your business. And then to conclude the model, we will review the impact of the legal environment on your small business. How do laws affect you? And what do you need to do in order to be compliant, as well as regulations pertaining to various ways to protect your company? And again, I reiterate, you will need to look at federal laws and regulations as well as maybe state laws and regulations, and as well as local laws and regulations. Again, this week we'll be doing a discussion board. For this discussion board, you're going to look at compliance with the government regulations, as they can be burdensome for small business owners. You've got a lot going on running this small business, and now you've got to deal with all these laws and regulations. And a lot of times the wording of these laws and regulations can be easily misunderstood. An enormous amount of paperwork can be involved to generate reports and record keeping that's mandated by these laws. And finally, the cost of complying with many laws and regulations can be substantial. But sometimes you can do things to have these laws and regulations changed, and that's what you're going to look at for your discussion board. What can you do to change these laws and regulations that influence the small business in order to lessen the burden? Are there associations out there that you can become a member of? Can you lobby your state's legislatures? Can you build relationships with these people? Can you work directly with your mayor or local agencies or state or federal agencies? What is it can you do to influence these laws and regulations? And then milestone 4 will come up, and this is again another addition to your business plan. So this is important. Be sure you spend some time doing this because your financial situation is very, very important. A lot of businesses fail because they are not watching their financial situation, and it's just very similar like what we talked about last week with the company that you looked at purchasing, and they had low cash flow and they weren't paying their bills on time. Great example of a business that is not paying attention to their financial bottom line. So this week, we're going to see what you can do to keep your bottom line in line and so that you don't fall into that type of negative situation. So existing businesses can use historical data, like in the situation we used last week, or where a startup, you might have to make projections based on best estimates. So your financial plan should include the following information. Be sure that you include all. And what I recommend that you do is there's 5 different parts that you need. What I recommend you do is the very first thing is create a header for each one of those 5 items, and then focus on one item at a time until you've completed the entire the entire project. Okay, sometimes that helps keep you it keeps your paper organized, and it keeps you organized, and it makes sure you don't miss something. Okay, so that's just a recommendation from me. It's how I do my writing, and I've done a lot of writing, and I'm pretty good at it. And this is one of the best tips that I could give you. Anywho, what your financial plan should include is sources and uses of capital. Where will your money come from and how are you going to spend it? Your cash flow projection and a balance sheet, which will assess the owned and liabilities owned. Assets owned and liabilities owned. And then you're going to do a profit and loss statement. Your sales, revenues, and expenses, either actual, if it's a current business that has historical data, or your projected. And then your break-even analysis, how much product you need to sell in order to cover your expenses. Okay, so at the very least, that's what you have to do. You've got to pay your employees. You've got to pay your overhead. You've got to keep those bills up to date, right? So what do you have to sell in order to at least be able to just keep going, right? So you can submit this financial plan. You can either write it up in paragraph form if you like, explaining things, or you could use a chart format, which will work just as well. And you might include a brief explanation of what is on the chart. All right. So that's it for Module 4 in a wrap-up. I'm looking forward to reading all of your insights into the laws and regulations as well as your financial plans. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a shout. All right. Good luck.